Cybersec time. Good day. How was the weekend? I think it was a weekend. We have some issues today. I mean, we've been having some issues today. No, no. I have issues, but that's the usual. No, not much more than the usual. For now. Oh my god. I am so tired. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know what happens, but I don't know what happens. That's the thing. uh, that's why I don't socialize usually. I don't like having other people's stuff. That sounds kinky as fuck. I don't I don't like it. I don't like it. Uh Things will happen. God damn. I've been trying to do this thing and this thing doesn't work, and then I'm trying to revert it and then it reverts properly, but it doesn't work still, so I'm reintroducing it and then it works and then it doesn't work again, and it's been a bit of a mess. Um it's just like it's weird. I don't get it. I I I mean that's the title of the stream. I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. That's the thing. I The only thing that I know is that I have my fan blowing out my hair and that's tickling my nose all the time, but I can't do anything about it. So yeah, that's that's a thing. God damn. Uh yeah. The weekend flew by. I do agree with that. I think, I mean, since I don't have much to do, I do have much to do, but since I don't have much to do, as in company-related work, it's easier for me to just not see the weekend go by. And I also don't know what day it is, what's the number on the calendar. I don't know anything, which is not the greatest, but it's also like really good. So this morning, for example, or today, officially, it is a national holiday in France, and uh, it's the 14th of July. So it's a specific thing. I forgot what it is. I don't really give a shit. Uh, I know what it is. It's French, so I don't care. And basically, I went to the gym at 6 a.m., like I always do, and I forgot that because it's national holiday, the gym is closed in the morning and they open at 9. So I missed 3 hours. So I came back here, worked on the app, and then went back to the gym at 9. And now I'm tired. And because it's like 9 a.m., like 9 in the morning, a lot of other people that are usually not there, and because it's a national holiday, were there. So I arrive at 9 and the gym was already crowded. There is a reason why I go at 6, because there is no one there. That's good. It's perfect. I mean, not no one. It's kind of crowded lately, but nonetheless, like I'm getting there early just to avoid the people, and now I had to be with the people. That's pretty bad. Anyways, so that happens, and then I tried to do things. Obviously, I didn't succeed. That's the thing. But I tried doing the thing on this, and it's just it's not working. I It pisses me off, and it's not that complicated, but because of the setup that I already have, it is that complicated. So that's the that that is hard. Yeah, that's hard. Basically, the issue that I have is that everything is working. I know, great issue. Everything is working. The sync is now working. The cross device is now working. The progress manager is now working and syncing. Like all of that works perfect. But for the 0.1% of my users that are paying, because like no one is paying, which is good, they need to have access to this thing that just crashed, right? I just launched it, crashed right away, which makes absolutely no sense. Um, Let me try again. Is it gonna crash again? Ah, oh, for fuck's sake. See? Mm-hmm. It is a nice animation for the entry. I agree. I agree. I feel like it's not the best, but yeah, it doesn't work on iPad. I mean, it works on iPad, but for some reason, the way that I made the animation isn't uh, the common way of doing the things. Like I'm doing calculation when I shouldn't do calculation, and so I'm ending up with the ray of color ending up roughly around here instead of being at the top. So you see it. It's weird. I don't like it. How am I gonna fix that though? That is my question. There. Huh. If I don't have this, I don't know. Stony, hi, what on it? I mean, I could reach just do that. I could just do that instead of having this crash all the time. Mmm, I don't wanna know. Uh, I think I have to. You don't know what I'm talking about. It's fine. Uh, can I do that? Oh, let me check if that works. Now? We'll see. Maybe it compiles, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work. I don't know. I have doubts, a lot of it. How was your weekend, Stoney? How's everything? Bruce, welcome back. How are you? How have you been? How's everything? It's been a bit. It's been at least 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. I guess 2 weeks. Yes, 2 weeks is gonna be fine. Can you compile Xcode so that we can have the thing on the side? So that I can see if it works. Come on. It's not that complicated. I mean, it's complicated. I just cleaned out the build, so obviously there are things, needs to be rebuilt. Xcode is just an annoyance. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. It's just, it should work, and then it doesn't. It, it yeah. Good. Compiling. Sending it to the phone. Let's see if it just works. Maybe it doesn't. But yeah. Me is tired as fuck. Me seems to have some issues to my throat, which is not so good. And I'm tired. So I probably got something after the event on Thursday, which is kind of sad. But yeah, does this work now? Though? Can I run it? I can run it. Oh. It runs. This page is a pain in the ass. Basically, like the the thing that I'm having a very hard time with, and it's also really annoying here because I have too much progress compared to regular users. So when I'm navigating between like hiragana and katakana, the data doesn't really change, so it doesn't seem like an issue. When I go there, you kind of can see that there is a bit of a teeny amount of lag. However, let me just show you this so that you can see on the side at the same time, right? When I'm going to press something, I'm going to have to look at it because otherwise it's not going to work. I'm going to click on kanji and you're going to see how much time it takes. It doesn't take too long, but it takes a lot of time. When I do this, that's a second and a half of lag because kanjis have like 10,000 entries ish. So it's a lot to load, but then right now it's loaded, so that makes sense.
Manbrave just resubscribed for 16 months.
God damn. God damn. Thanks a lot for the resub. I appreciate it. 16 months is a long time. It is a long time. Welcome back. How's the day? It's not spinners that is the issue to me. The fact that we have a bit of a lag in the beginning doesn't really bother me that much, and yes, I could add a spinner. Yes. The issue that I have is this. Going back to a data set that is smaller takes the same amount of time, and going back to a data set that is bigger is roughly the same amount of time. And then you would think that there is the data that is good, right? And now that we have loaded it, it's fine. But no, it takes the same amount of fucking time again. So that's the issue that I have. Loading, unloaders, whatever could help to make the thing be perceived a bit faster. But just the data is not persisting in between swap, and that makes no sense because it's supposed to be. So that's hard for me. That's hard. That's the thing that I've been trying to figure out. And then the other thing that makes absolutely no sense as well is the fact that, let's say I'm staying on kanji because kanji makes sense. You might be able to see that, but you might not. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. At the top, you have 490 questions that I have practiced. From these 490 questions that are in the blue section, I have answered correctly 365 times, which gives me an average of 74% accuracy on the entire thing, which makes sense. These 490 questions were on 463 entries overall, right? So far, that's good. These 463 entries overall are basically what you have in the center bottom-ish here. That gives me the amount of characters that I've seen, and so they are in learning, that I have mastered, and the ones that I haven't seen just yet. And so that split right there is giving me the information that I have mastered 147 characters. That's the green one, which is a very, very tiny line in the center, right? So 147 is equal to 147 here with the learning over time with the curve. But then earlier today, and I had to change that, the SRS analytics and the progress overviews at the bottom were giving me different values for the amount of mastered characters. And that makes no sense. And then the overall things, like right here, I have something that is called the quiz attempts. And the quiz attempts is the amount of time I saw something in a quiz and I made an attempt on a character or an entry. And it's currently set at 352, which if you go back up, the amount of questions I had was 490. So the fact that I answered correctly 365 times, but that my quiz attempts is 352 makes no sense. there is something in the data of the analytics that just doesn't work, and I can't figure it out yet. So my weekend has been trying to struggle on this thing for 3 days. And sometimes it's even worse. Sometimes you have, like in other sections, like the dictionaries, you have things that should make sense but don't, and you have a total amount that is not equivalent to uh, like the right data, which is really weird to me. But like it's weird. Like here, for example, I have up on dictionaries, I have 651 characters that are or words that are mastered, which seems a bit high, but that's okay. With 651 mastered, but in the purple zone at the top, I have 467 items, which is not feasible. Like the items is basically learning plus mastered, and the question is whatever the questions are, and then the correct is technically at a minimum masters times 6 for most of it, because you need 6 range of progress degrees. So yeah, it the data doesn't work. That's what where I'm getting at. It's just it's pissing me off because I can't release that. I wish I could. I can if I just want to have something that is not exactly true, but I would rather send something to the users that is as truthful and as realistic and good as it can be, rather than just send something because I can. Um, but then again, going back to the thing that I said last time, because right now I know that my current in production version of the app has issues and bugs, and not bugs, but like tracking that is not working. I want to publish something, I want to push something to just fix these bitch ass things, but then if I don't do it properly right now, because the analytics data doesn't work with the fix just yet, I'm gonna send something that is requiring some sort of a migration system. And then when I fix what I currently am working on, I'm gonna just send a second fix with a sort of migration system to have the things properly work. And that's no good. So I'm like this close. It's a bit. I'm not this close. Like I'm this close to decide to scrap the entire analytics section. Just keep the SRS section because it's in the background. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't impact anything. And then publish something without the past months of work, and then work on the analytics. But it's just weird. Yeah, the entanglement French, the mix match, you know, of things is not good. Like the SRS section and the analytics sections are basically going hand in hand, but they're also going hand in hand with the progress manager. And so removing one of them impact almost the entire app now with the intense integration that I have made. So yeah, even stash wouldn't really change anything, to be honest. Uh, as I said, I have branches already that are like clean branches from before I started to work on these things, but they are not clean branches with some of the fixes that I added in the between that were impacted by the migration. So it it's just won't work. So yeah, I don't know. I am, yeah, I don't know. And then since yesterday, I've been having like a bit of an issue with the subscription system where basically at times, and I don't know why, and that might be an iOS 26 thing. So I'm unsure. The subscribe now doesn't work. Like you can tap on it, the logs are giving you as if you subscribed, but that's it. And nothing happened. None of the flow of native iOS thing that says that there is the need for transaction or something. So it's really weird. The thing is, the regular flow does work. Like it's there. It's feasible. It's an option. It's by default around there. But just for the subscription, it just doesn't work, which is kind of weird. So I don't know. I don't understand. It's a mess. And that's where we are. Crosskeys, hi, we're calling. No, 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 I haven't. Yes, Swift has a native testing engine, and Swift has a native by default in the code testing environment. Basically, you end up right here with these things that are built in can test, can UI test that are like predefined files where you can define your tests, your UI tests, unit tests, and all these. But because I don't know how to do that, I never done it. I never done them. But yeah, it's not that I hate it. Is that I don't know. Like I yeah, that's all that it is. I do not fucking know what should happen in there. It's just to me, it's as foreign as the code itself. And even though it seems pretty simple, right? From what I remember, you just need to play or click on the play button, whatever, when the app is launched, so that you can record what you want your things to do. That's something that is automated in the latest version um, of this, but it's just not something that I understand. Um, like because in my head, also I stopped for a long time. In my head, it's mostly things that I do natively on my own. Like I'm here, and most of the time I'm saying, well, I'm doing like a test session. So for the test session, you run the app, ensure that everything works. Right now, it doesn't, which is fucking annoying. It happens at times. So I have the launch, I have the things. Cool. Can I tap on the character? Yes. Good. Can I long press on the character? Yes. Good. Can I search something? Yes. Good. And so I'm doing that. I know this would be like automated with the test things, but you know, like I can do it myself, and it would work. So I don't know. And probably what I'm doing right now by like doing it manually and ensuring that I can just navigate and do things and so on is uh, front end test. But yeah, yeah, I think I should. I mean, not even I think I should. I know I should. I just don't know how. And based on like I have never and not understood, like I've never experimented with this section of Xcode that again contains this thing, which is really good, where you can just launch the app in test mode record things automatically by doing stuff, doing some actions that requires backend related content, and then redo things with ifs, with whatever. We kind of talked about it when. Um, I don't think this is going to be in there, but in the which one was it? Not there. There. Much better. Uh, I think that was one of the first. I recognize the person that talked about it, but I think this one specifically doesn't. Um, uh, kinda, but not really with kinda. It's I don't know how things work for testing. Um, like I don't know what are required, necessary, and important to understand how testing would work and would be done. Again, I know that I kind of need to, um, which is, like fine, even though it pisses me off, but fine. Um, but yeah, like that thing, specific bitch, not that this section specifically, um, is the section that is talking about testing and how things work. But when I'm looking at it, it doesn't tell me much other than you can launch a test things by default in Xcode and then record basically the app working on and doing things. And then in there, ensure that you have like the thing that they are doing is basically you press the play button as I was saying earlier, and once you do that, it records or it will record everything that you do. So once that's done, it will just write your test, which to me is really nice. Again, because I don't know, um, but yeah, it. I think it is, and I think I agree with that. I see half of the potential benefits. That's the thing. The the complexity that I have in my head, and right now the app is extremely complex for my head, but the complexity that I have in my head is not complex enough to require code testing, if that makes any sense. Um, but yeah, like that thing that I just did on that video, which is not necessarily the biggest thing to check, but is like to me pretty simple because that way you can check things and rerun the test. So every time that you run something, it launches the apps and does the exact same actions that you've done while typing the things and whatever you've done, and then you can change. Like, do you want to change something at that stage? Do you want to change something different at that stage, and so on? So that's something that I feel is interesting, but also, again, I'm doing it manually, which probably takes more time. But yeah, the also I'm reading your messages at in with a delay because that's me. The thing that you said with the if I put X into this function, it should get Y out. I don't know that. I know that this is the thing that needs to happen, but I don't know why the the why the Y section that you said. uh, like I don't have a good enough understanding of the code that is in my app to be able to define these characteristics of if this happened in this function, this should happen. I don't fucking. I just know that if I tap that button, something should happen, but then what it is, I don't know. But something should happen. That's all I know. So that's also one of the reasons why I'm like, I don't think I have the capacity and the skills to do the testing things. Um, like because I'm only like gonna check the visual stuff. To me, it's only gonna be so that specific thing that I've done that has changed is breaking something, and why I don't know. And most of the time, the I would say the main issue is that it something that I've just changed is breaking something, but then I look at the code that has been changed and nothing is touching this function at all. Like there is no link to that thing in any way, shape, or form, so it shouldn't be broken. So it might be something on my end, it might be something on my OS end, because that is like a beta 3 of iOS 26 that happened. I don't really know. And so that's the thing that is kind of complex. Um, yeah, but yeah, isn't that the exact same as me doing it myself manually? It's just that it takes more time if it's done manually. I do agree with that. It's like, isn't it exactly the same? Of me being here, and let's say I'm gonna use that as an example. Right now, I know what needs to happen, right? If I tap on this character, multiple things should happen. The tap count is supposed to be increased by 1. The visual of that element is supposed to be changing, and the sheet that contains its information is supposed to be shown. So there is like 3 things that needs to happen at once. And so when I'm doing this, background changed, it opened it, and because the background change is linked to the progress increments, that happens, I'm good. So that is something that I do manually to check. And then the next one is if I long press the next one, the sheets don't open, but the progress needs to go from 0 to 6 in one go. Cat, hi, welcome on it. So if I long press, it does the thing and it changes visual. That works. I'm good with that. And so on. So I'm doing that manually. Most of the times it's because it's a thing that I haven't touched at all. It's working. Like there is no issues with it. I can do the exact same thing in here and incrementing
Katek
progress and
Soho
so
just
on. You know, like
resubscribed for 35 months.
that
Ugh, that's a lot.
that is a lot indeed. Indeed a lot. Yes. Thanks a lot for just resub. Both of you today. Like, is today a sub day? I think it seems today is going to be a sub day. Um, yeah, maybe. But why though? So yes, I have like a abstract like bird eyes view type of things, of what is supposed to happen and how things are supposed to happen and how things happen. I don't know the functions or the function names, um, but yeah. I mean, it feels like it should be on everything, right? Like I should have tests on the character per page to make sure that, I can have something, it triggers a quiz, the quiz makes sense. I can start a quiz, I can have a mistake on the first thing, I can start a quiz again, and then I don't have, I mean, I have the same amount of lives that I have the previous one. And then if I do the whole quiz perfectly, which is the thing that I've put in place, um, I'm getting a life back because that makes sense. And, you know, um, again, these are things that I personally have tested thoroughly to make sure that everything is an option. Like if I make mistakes upon mistakes upon mistakes, and then I'm ending like the quiz with a mistake because I've done that. Um, and this one is supposed to be here, so I'm gonna do that. What happens if I say refill lives? What happens if I say um, not that? If like these behaviors are things that I kind of put in place to make sure that I have everything. But yeah, um, I do. Well, welcome back. Um, yeah, I know. I've seen like a lot of uh, not articles, but like articles about test coverage in the past. So I do know that it exists and it should be there, as you just said earlier, right? God damn it, Nishit, welcome back. The things that exist as well is the fact that technically speaking, um, like I just need the core section to get that. But yeah, um, yeah, test. I mean, from what you explain, I'm not sure about. Yeah, that just doesn't sound like a good idea to me. I mean, why not? Waste of time, probably. Yeah. Yeah, the thing is, again, I'm gonna. I know I'm saying the thing is a lot lately, specifically when it comes to this, because I don't really have any frame of reference. But when I'm looking at this, like for example, when the things broke for my subscription system, um, the furthest back where the subscription was touched was somewhere along the line of 2 to 3 weeks ago, if not more. Like the only one that could have been potential is this one, but that's not that wasn't the one. And before that, I had touched um, things. related to the subscription model, just a tad, but like, yeah, not not everything. So that's one of the part that is kind of weird to me, because it basically happened here. Like I made a change, and then I launched the app again, and I couldn't do any subscription anymore. So yeah, Pothbot, hi, welcome on in, welcome back. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like it's a very weird system. Also, this is very right because I'm just deleting the files. Yeah, I, I, I don't know. Let me go back. I missed what this is. Um, I'm trying to wrap my head around that, Gordon, because I don't know. It's yes. So in my head, as again a designer that doesn't change, it would be as if I was needing to write this before everything. So reading this or writing the structure of the app, which makes sense, right? You want your structure, but you need to do that for everything to explain how component work, how a specific page is going to work, what is going to be inside of the page, and so on. That is making a lot of sense, right? This is what we have in the project brief, basically. We define what needs to be in each pages, in each thing, in each whatever. But the thing as a designer that makes sense is that we do these as recommendations and we can stray away from the brief when we as designers feel that there is a better version, a better implementation, a more creative way of answering something or figuring out like a very specific way of working with that specific blocks, like that type of things. Whereas with your model, and I'm gonna read that thing in a second, uh, you need to have the test define, which means that you need to know exactly how you're going to write the things, which makes sense for you if you have the skills, which I don't. And then you need to make sure that the thing that you wrote passed the test that you wrote. So yeah, you can't really stray away from the idea because maybe you were thinking about a way of doing the thing that you wanted, and then you find a better way while you are doing it because you thought about it a bit longer, and so you end up with something that is a bit different. Therefore, you fail the test, and it feels regressive in my head. So maybe I'm wrong. You're right. It says before the code, which seems to predefine exactly how the application should behave. Software requirement naturally evolve. Yes, that's what I was saying. uh, it does. Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, Manbrave exactly said the same thing that I was saying. Well, I should have read his message first. I know. My bad. My bad. I think it's good for some things, um, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if it's just that round, I uh, again, designer brain. You can't escape it. That's my stream. That's what I do. Right, design. Uh, it's the same thing that we had with the wireframe situation from 2 weeks ago, where up here, where uh, that was posted, and it feels like you're forcing the users to say, devs for you, do the wireframes first, and then once the wireframe is done, once the design happened, it needs to pass the wireframe, right? And so this one specifically, being exactly a one-to-one, seems like a very bad thing. But to me, this is a waste of time. Specifically because this one is probably done the other way around, right? They have done the design and then they have created the wireframes. That's why they are one-to-one. But for most people in most companies, they are doing the wireframes first, and then they're doing the design on top of that. Whereas for me, I'm doing the design first, and I'm never doing the wireframes unless I don't have my fucking textbooks, unless I'm doing it on paper. And so I'm just taking notes or doing a sketch on something to get like the general idea of what should be on that screen and how it should work. And that's it, and nothing else. So, yeah, that from what you're saying is it seems as if you were asking the devs to do work or to do the same work multiple times. And maybe it's good. Again, I don't know. I'm not a dev and it probably will never be, which is good. But it feels like if you are asking me to define exactly how the code is going to be written or going to contain so that I can ensure that in my test I have already all of these things, why not just write the code directly and then ensure that it functionally work? Um, but yeah, yeah, that's that. Yeah, I think Manrave and myself agree. It feels like you're gonna have to go through things and say, well, that can't change, so I need to change that. Um, like again, um, yeah, I think we agree. I think we agree, but like I also understand that it's something that exists, and so because it is something that exists, I not need to take that into consideration, right? But it would potentially be better for me to add some test instead of this thing. But then again, I don't know. Um, I I think the what my brain is telling me, which is also very me, but if I have to write something that will pass, right, with obviously like the fact that the test is fleshed out in order to make sure that the code is working, I will do anything in my power to pass the test that I wrote so I know how to pass it, which I guess is the point, right? From your point of view as a dev, you are defining the requirements and the thing that will pass the test, and you're writing the code to then pass the test. You're writing the code to the thing that is required, but you are thinking about the test that you have written to make sure that it will be a positive outcome. or negative outcome if your test is to invalidate something and have an error thrown out. Nonetheless, right? Something happens and it's what was expected. Cool. the the thing in my head is like, well, I can just write something inside of the code, test code, that just states if this happened, then that's positive, and then we good, and then throw that in my code, but then have other thing that it's doing without really testing that other part of the code, but just have the test pass because it's there. So yeah, like it again. I don't fucking know. So what I'm gonna say, that's not how I think, but that's how I think, right? First line of the test would be if number equal to 1, then it's okay and the test is passing. My first function in my code is return 1, and then the entire 560 lines underneath are absolutely different, but I have returned 1, therefore my test is passing. So they like that basically is what I would write in my test, because it would make more sense for my brain and the way that I work to go straight into the code while I have the entirety of the understanding and so on. Like I would go in there and then, you know, like do the thing and then write. I mean, writing the test makes more sense to me afterward, but apparently this is a debate. Apparently. And Manbury, for the edge cases, that I would disagree with that statement specifically. I know that edge cases are the most like edge cases that happens. So most people don't think about them. So if by default in your testing, which is what we do in design as well, you think about the edge cases, you should be good. Like that's I don't remember. I mean, I do remember, but I don't remember if I have shared that on here. I don't think so. Um, yeah, I haven't. I probably haven't. Did I share though an article from that person? Probably. Will I find it? Probably not. Yes, story, 100%. Which is good for you, bad for me. I don't care. I know we talked about them. I know they have shared a ton of articles on Twitter, and I know I have shared some of them in here as well. I just, as always, can't find anything because I'm looking for them. And it's not going to be an inspiration that is certain for a fact. So let me bring Figma here so that I can give you like a bit of a visual thing. One of the behaviors that we defined in the past, right, were if you have your layers, your layer of UI, right? That thing right here, that's your UI. That's gonna be all the time, always here. This is your best, um, not best attempt, but like best design or best scenario. I think scenario is going to be pretty good. So your best scenario for the design is going to be something like this. That's the idea. And then let me put it here. And then you have a second layer, which is something goes wrong. And so that something goes wrong is your error state that is added on top of as a potential. But then this is basically like something's not loading, whatever, right? It's just a state that is based on your best scenario that you define once you have your best scenario. You define everything that needs to be there. And then you say, well, if I'm not receiving data, if I'm not receiving an internet connection, if I'm not receiving something, I'm going to be in an error state in some elements. So we end up here. On top of that, you also have something that is like not very much, it's erroring, but it's not erroring for the same reasons. And this is like uh how can I say that? Uh, Network issues usually. So you have your network layer that is just, if my best design can't be accessed because of network, what am I displaying? Is it something that I can display because I still have access to the previous page, so I do have the structure, or is it something that is absolutely different and it's just the browser that is taking care of that? That's the thing. And then on top of that, which is like above the network, just in case, before things happen, you have your last layer, which I usually do in blue, and I'm going to use cyan right now just because it's brighter, which is your empty state. And so I can't know exactly what would be these three states until I have my best scenario that um, like that exist. That's basically the thing. So for me and for my brain to think about the empty empty state test, which is basically the thing in code, I think that's what I'm referring to when I'm talking about test in code from the discussion we have. Anyways, defining that I have like an is empty switch case that returns the UI in a very specific state is not necessarily something that I know until I have my best scenario defined. So that's I would say that's the thing for me. I don't, I can't know until I have this one, which is the fully fleshed out content. And then once I do, I can define the other things. So for my brain, the error state, network state, and empty states, these are things that I can only define and test once I have this. Which means that if we go back to the code analogy, I need my code to be defined um, fully. And then I can test it out with potential additions, because from their best scenario, I know that the thing exists or not. I do recognize that a function, like a regular function thing, is going to be easier to do through um, like uh, they're not really, but kind of your function is either true or false. Like you have maybes, but it's not necessarily it doesn't happen often, right? It either does the thing or it doesn't, and so you basically have these two states of yes or no for all of your potential tests. So that's one thing that my brain is having a very hard time to just not figure out, but like figure out. The other thing is you also have these as options, which I know they are kind of different, but happens. Um, Designer, right? Don't worry about it. bitch. So you have your step whatever. Let's do step n because that makes sense. You know that your test is gonna test step n followed by step 2 followed by step 3 and so on, right? That's the thing. That way you can check, oh, we broke, like right here we have an error right here, and so that is what your test is supposed to check, right? It passed this, then it doesn't pass this, then you have an error. You know what kind of broke, what is the function that you have put in place for your test that doesn't go through, right? That's from what I understand. But then if you fix the thing and then it goes past and then there is no errors there and then it has an error on the last step, the fourth step of your thing, you know that there is either something in the transition right there, or there is something in that last step that needs to be fixed. Then you can fix that and it passes and you're good, right? That's from my understanding again. Um, so yeah, each step will be tested in isolation, but you also, I'm expecting it to be tested in follow-up through as well, because I mean, if everyone passes alone in isolation, but then you implement data from step 1 into step 2, and then that breaks, your step was expecting something specific, but step 1 sent you something different. That is, there is an issue there. So again, in my head, not feasible in isolation, but if it is in isolation, why not? Could happen. So that I do understand, like that system or that kind of idea of making sure that it doesn't break, or it breaks, or where does it break, and then you can just follow through the path, which again in my head is the type of shit that we have right there when we have like the test things uh, right about here, but I don't have it because I'm not running. So like that's things. So yeah, I don't I don't know. Cross keys. I don't know if I would do test stuff. I guess going back to what I was saying earlier, right? I do have roughly my best scenario that is defined. So UI wise, and I know what the best scenario output in terms of function is, like going back to the character key, right? The thing that I'm tapping on. Best scenario is the character doesn't exist or doesn't have any progress. If I tap on it, it increased and it opens, it does the action it's supposed to do. Cool. That's working. Scenario number 2, the character key that I'm tapping on is a marker and therefore it has more content, more data. What happens? Cool, it works. It does the thing that it's supposed to do. I can move on. That could be written and could be tested by the code, but then again, how different would it be from the code doing it or myself doing it manually? That I would say that is my question, because I am the unit test right now because I'm the only unit. That sounds really interesting. I'm the only unit in the company, and so I'm doing the test because I have to. Uh, I do. I kind of do. So, yes, I agree with that statement to an extent, but I also check every time that something happened, right? So, I'm not like, I think we had that conversation before. I'm not vibe coding. I'm asking for help, which is different in my views. I'm not like saying things, which right now is just like, these are the errors that we have and whatever, figure it out. but I'm most of the time just checking things. And let me see if I can have like a message that makes a bit more sense. I'm explaining things and I'm reading what is in there. I'm also most of the time reading what is in the thinking section to make sure that I have like a bit of an understanding of what the fuck happened in there. And then understand or reading what is the outputs, what is going to be touched. And then if there is touched things, like for example, here we touched the data cache, we touched the optimized analytics repo. That makes sense. If I see something that is not supposed to be touched, as in, let's say for some reason, on that second pass, we shouldn't have touched another thing, I would just stop it and say, well, you're not supposed to touch this thing right now. Like that's not how it's supposed to go. So I'm taking care of the LLM not editing things most of the times. And I'm making sure that I'm not touching other files that are not necessarily related to the current issue. Like if I'm seeing it touching things that are uh, from the view model for analytics, because I'm touching the analytics, that makes sense. But then if for some reason I'm going into the game center, which happens on some of my previous chats, I'm like, bitch, shut up. No, that's not what's supposed to happen. Like, you're not supposed to touch this file specifically. Stop. So, yeah. Um, yeah, I see. Well, basically, I mean, I would say then, I guess, it's basically these logs that I'm adding in the code to an extent to check like, do I have a subscription? Yes. Is it true? Yes. Can I continue and so on? Like these exist, but then I also have the same thing for um, what's the fucking name? Do you have a purchase that happened, and what was it, and so on. So, yeah. Uh, yeah. I think if you say vision, I agree with you. It's the same thing um, as I said, as in design, we define the brief, or what we call le cahier des charges in French, which is the brief in English. And so each of these, I don't know if I have some. Let me copy it so that I can navigate this thing. I know I do have some of these. I know they are supposed to be confidential, but the company is bought back by someone else, so now I don't care. Um, let me see if I can have that. Um, it is. It seems to be, yes. Yes, 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 indeed. Let me check that. Can I have G? Uh, do I have maybe? Maybe? This is old as fuck. Very, very old. Um, so, right, this is basically the cahier des charges, which is confidential, sorry. But like this thing is containing everything that needs to happen, right? We have the context of the project, the technical specs of what is supposed to be in there, how the flow is supposed to be, which is, the basis of most of our uh, files and so on. And then we have like some of the design that should happen in the beginning, right? In the very, very beginning, these designs were not containing the design that I created in the end. It was most of the wireframes that we had based, right? And so once the design were made, we updated these elements to ensure that we had things. But as you can see, this brief-ish thing is a 50, 60 page document that explains everything in terms of like what that screen is, what does it contain, what needs to happen, what is the options, what are the fields that needs to be inside of this form, for example. And so all of that is or are things that are going to be your test. Like if you end up with something, you end up with a screen like, let's say, like this, and in your brief you had like profile picture that needs to be in there, then you missed something. So I'm guessing I understand your point of view from the testing point of view, right? You need to define the test and the vision, as you said in the last big ass message that you shared. But yeah, I think we agree to an extent. Uh, the message was that big, yes. Your ass, I don't know yet. We'll see. That's it. Hi, welcome. Welcome back. How are you? How's the day? How was the weekend? So like that's I would say for me that's where I would stand because the best scenario here is what the brief is telling me. The brief is telling me everything that needs to be in the best scenario. The error states, network states, empty states, whatever states that you have, multiplayer states, and so on, are things that as a designer, as the product designer on the team, as the person that is responsible for that specific client, I know that they need to exist. And so I'm taking care of them while I'm ensuring that this is just, like in the works. But yeah, um, no, as a designer, I don't like if the client is like coming to me for design help and give me like the work that they've done and then ask me to follow that when the thing that they've done is not good. If that makes sense. However, a brief, that's fine. But if it's like that, that's not necessarily the same thing. Um, but also, I didn't read the first message that you said that's one of the major difference between design and dev. That there is a very small correlation between how much value a piece of functionality adds to your product, how much work it takes. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I do agree with that. Yes. However, the last message is kind of weird. The thing is, we did the same thing. We do kind of define with the devs, or at least when I was in an agency, we defined the the thing that could happen in the product and subscription and microservices and so on. And we checked with the devs that would work on it to check how long it would take. And so some of these elements, right? Some of these are like, as you said, non-breaking, and some of them are breaking, and some of them take 3 days, some of them take 3 months. And if it's defined and basically priced in the agency budget, kind of, and in the client budget, these are things that are unmovable, and the client cannot come back to them and say, well, these things needs to change. Like, that's not something that will happen. Or if they do, that will impact their deadline by a great deal, and so therefore they tend not to do that. But it's easier for all the teams to have a, a brief. The one that I just showed you, like the 60-page one, is pretty good to an extent, to give you like the fleshed out content and what needs to happen in said app until until someone is starting to work on it. And then the thing that usually happens when we are going into, I would say, the regular waterfall slash agile weird ass thing is you have your brief, which is right there, right? And then from your brief, you take your step number one, and step number one is going to go into research. If I can type, I can't type, as always. Um, and then from the research, you have your first draft, but let's say just draft, it's going to be faster. Uh, First draft validation, which is really never working, but whatever. And then from the validation, from the draft, you then end up in UI work, right? And so that flow of step is then cascaded into the next. So once this one is done, and there is like another validation at the end, whatever, we don't care about that, and it's validated, and we haven't like looped back into something agile, like that thing, you then basically send your team into the next step, which is step number two, which does the exact same thing for the next screen. Technically speaking, what happened nowadays, and specifically for me, is research is not step by step. Research is everything by everything. And so we ensure that we understand everything in terms of design before we start doing any draft and validation in UI. The good thing for this is that because the designers, to an extent, and the product designer like myself, are the people that are defining the features of the apps at times, we basically just go in, do the research, do the first draft of every screen, which is like the wireframe section, and ensure that we don't have like new features that were not in the brief, and or if we have new features that are in the brief, how much more complex are they? Are they vital to the product or not, and so on. So, like that's a thing. I would say we did. um, yeah, I do agree with that. With the test give you a tangible thing that kind of shows you or shows the product manager that something has happened, even though the front end didn't change. Yes, that doesn't mean I would do my test before I have my front end done. I wouldn't. I yeah, I wouldn't. However, I need it. I agree. Going back to that video that we were on right here, that whole thing where we have the test that can be automated-ish and show you what can happen, how things can happen, and how things are going to be defined, then you can go in your testing session and change things and just say, well, this thing is not going to be that text, it's going to be a different type of text. Therefore, you have my test that is done. That I need to, but it's mostly for other things. It's not like I don't need this for the visual stuff. I need this for that specific side of Xcode for myself. I need to know when things break and why there is a hang, why I have like a lot of issues every time, everywhere, all the time. All the time. Right? Like these fucking things, the gesture system is timed out. Like that makes no sense to me, and I don't really understand why that happens. I don't know if that is something that the test would be able to give me, but I guess yes, to an extent. So maybe. But then again, going back to what I was saying at the beginning, doing that first test that we were on a second ago, which is the UI test, not the functional test, that seems to be something that is fully functional for myself. Like that's something that I can do 100%, mainly based on the fact that it is, or it seems to be something that is as simple as recording your screen. So that's fine. The thing is, for anything that is supposed to be tested in the background, I don't know how that works because I don't understand the background work. I mean, I do, but I don't, you know. Like tapping on something makes sense. Tapping on something and something happens. I don't know what that something is supposed to be. Can you stop? Thank you. As I said in the beginning, because the fan is underneath my desk, I have hair that are tickling my nose all the time. So you will see me do that all the time. Yeah, I do agree with that. Again, if I was in a team, yes, 100%. If I was in a team and I had like other devs, other designers, other stakeholders that were expecting things to happen, which it's the case, right? It's my users that are expecting to have like new features and stuff. I would probably have some sort of testing in mind, even though the I mean the testing for now is done manually, and then it's just a matter of why, you know, why that works, doesn't work, whatever. I would say if it was a test, yeah, if it was a test that is automated and dev based on this thing we saw a second ago, if we can, I doubt it, that. So the fact that here the test fails and it gives you exactly what it is, right? I would be able to give that to the LLMs and say, well, this is what's breaking based on the test, right? That's the result of the test. So we know what is breaking. Whereas me, right now, I'm like, well, this thing doesn't work, and that, like, that's basically what I'm saying here. Like, the data we're getting from these view models uh, aren't properly used in that view specifically, and we should find like a more efficient way of doing it. So yeah, like that's not necessarily something that, you know, uh, is good because it's not precise enough. But also, one of the things that I've found, and it's annoying, but it's the case, the more I learn about uh, the code, and the more I build the app, the least effective the LLMs are. That's the thing that is annoying. Since I started to basically be able to build my own views myself, the amount of messages, the type of messages that I've been starting to send to Claude is more precise and more code di- directed, and not as flexible and vibed that they used to be. So I'm hurting a lot of walls, and I'm hurting walls more often because the amount of content I'm sending is way too strict. So that is not good for me, for the LLMs to work its best. But when I'm letting the LLM works its best, it's doing a lot of other things that are not necessary. So yes. Um, so I mean, yeah, the thing that I have is not there. The thing that I have is in the, I think in the progress manager. Um, no. Where the fuck did I put that? Nonetheless, I have something somewhere. It might be in the helpers or managers or things. I forgot. It doesn't matter. I had something to basically give me exactly what you said. Like I had my error handling thing that gets triggers all the time, which is basically like these things. They are all over the place in the code, but they're also like in some of these files somewhere. I just forgot where the fuck they are because I can't organize things for shit. But yeah, like right now, the thing that I'm thinking about is just take that whole thing, scrap it out, which is gonna break everything, or condense it into something that makes more sense, and then maybe that works. But then again, I don't know. Like it's really weird. It is really weird. But yeah, no, I see the point though. I see the point. I see the point, and I should have some tests for sure. It would help in some situation. Uh, I think it would help pinpoint exactly where things are breaking, rather than right now not really understanding, but knowing when things are breaking. So if, like if I'm here and for some reason the app crashes like we had a second ago, then I know that when I'm tapping on my progress overview thing, I'm getting a crash because technically what I understand is that I know that when I'm calling for it, I'm getting data fetch, and the data fetch is broken, and therefore it's just not going through. So there is probably an error in that thing. So that's what I would bring back to Claude and say, well, this is probably what's happening and why it's broken. And when I'm tapping on that element in the profile view, it just crashed the app. If I was in a testing environment, I would have logs that tells me exactly in Xcode, like we have a memory issue, you have a threading issue, you have something that happens in the background thread that should be in the main thread, like that type of thing. That is something I could use. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. Goddamn. Goddamn you slow. Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. I can't trust or not trust myself because it's myself and I don't know what I'm doing. So I trust myself to go in the right direction, kinda, but that's about it. Um, yeah, and again, as I said, I am doing the some sort of very much manual testing on a regular basis, and I'm starting a screen. I shared that before, right? I testing in some sort of like UI based, but also like everything else based. Um, and I'm just like launching something and doing a screen recording of the entire app, including myself, to just see how it works. And we're just like looking, okay, so that's the onboarding. The buttons are this way, they work that way. You have notifications, things, whatever, flows. And I'm testing it for my understanding of what should be like a good onboarding flow for this app, for example, that's an example. But also for myself, for my app, I'm just making sure that everything that I have that was supposed to work is working. And then if I'm figuring out something that doesn't work, like something like here, for example, where I had like an issue with my error code for the sync that was written right there, I make sure that I have a screenshot and a bit of a timestamp of what happened. Is I'm checking, um, like, I'm checking. I just read your last message. I'm checking the the thing in the code. What happened here? What is this error code? Why am I getting this? Whatever. But yeah, like that's the thing that I'm doing as well. But I'm doing that manually, meaning that the output is going to be bad, and I understand that, and I agree with you to an extent. But yeah. Also, you have like a bit of a preview of some of the things that are supposed to become sound alerts on the stream without really knowing what they are. So this one is one of them that is probably going to happen at some point. So if you know that video, you know what it's happening. But if you don't, then we're good. Um, so yeah, like there is a ton of things that I do agree that I would benefit from some testing, technically testing, like code tests. But for now, you know, it's a me test. Ah, the lags, goddamn, what a lag environment. Ugh. Anyways, yeah, I mean, I'm closer now. After that discussion, I'm closer to scrap the entire fucking analytics view and just get rid of it and and remove this entire thing. and just yeah, just no more analytics. And then cry about it because I'm gonna need to reintroduce it. But like I thought about doing the same thing for CloudKit as well, like getting this thing to get removed and then reintroduced, and then I gave up. I didn't, which is a good thing. Good thing that I didn't. God damn. The other thing that I've seen, which also is not necessarily like linked, but it is kind of linked, is on test device, which is this. This is test device basically. The navigation in between the views and the navigation in between the states of things is, I would say, pretty simple, mainly because uh, like there is no data and there is no calculation happening. So being able to navigate in between things is directly tied to me having too much information in the app on my account. But when I'm looking at the amount of information that I'm having on my app alone, it's nothing. It's like not even a tenth of what is available. Like my kanji right now, I only have 147 mastered out of 10,000, and it's already lagging just because I have 400-ish. That is unacceptable. Like 400 entries that just make the app lag makes no sense. Again, specifically because the data is loaded by default, like mastered and learning and so on are like in there and visible and accessible by the system in other places without having any lags. That's the thing that makes no sense to me. And I don't think code testing would help in that thing. I think it's just me being a dumbass, which is, uh, absolute, right? Uh, Also, I was showing these right there, these elements being like you have all the data with visuals, previews, and so on, and everything is just loading as fast as it can, and it's just worked. It's just fast content, easy content, and so on. Like I can navigate through that compared to my analytics tree. But it's there. The data is there. I have access to the data by default, and it's just like because I have the question type data, that's too much. I understand though. Again, it's like the question type data is per question, per entry, every time. So if I need to do, again, I need to have like, um, which is a bad thing on my side. Like that's how I designed it, which is really wrong, and that's why I'm probably going to scrap the entire thing. Nonetheless, you mark an entry as mastered once you have correctly answered it 6 times, which implies that you will answer it not correctly at some point. So you will have, at a minimum, 6 times, 6 records of what happened, how long it took you, how long, or how good you were in that, like recognition questions, how easy it seems to be based on time and so on. But that is like a log every time that is loaded, recorded, and saved in the record that is related to that entry. So you have your regular entry plus the logs of question type and data related to this at least 6 times, but when you make a mistake, it's the same as recorded as well. So there are some things, I have some characters in there that are like at 33, 32 progress view, which means that I have seen them at least 33 times, which means that in these 33 times, there is probably 10% on top of that is records where I made a mistake, probably roughly. So that's a lot of sub-level records. That's why we kind of moved to analytics data being transferred into a file system on device. But it seems like a bad idea. So I don't know. I feel like I'm in a situation where my initial design UX point of view of how I wanted this thing to be is not optimal and could be better, like could be way better, but isn't way better right now. So that's the situation. That is the situation, which is annoying. By the way, that's the end. If you're interested. But yeah. But you're right, Kroskis. That was a controversial topic, I would say. Which I'm not against. I like to have discussions, specifically when it's topics that I don't have much information about. So I appreciate the knowledge coming in. That sounds weird. But yeah, overall, like that's how my weekend was. It took me 2 hours to explain. Stony, I finally answered your question. Uh, yeah, that's the thing. It's a lot of data analytics and a lot of math, and because I'm still a designer, that doesn't change. I don't like math in general, and so figuring out how to calculate stuff, where the data is supposed to be coming from, how to get the right data and showcase the right data in the right spot at the right time on demand. Yeah, there are things where I'm like, could be better design wise, could be better functionality wise. Obviously, I'm hating most of the design that I've made now because, I mean, not hating, but like not liking it that much, just because it's been not a year, but like almost. Um, it's been 7 months. So obviously, I'm like, could be better, could be improved upon, could be changed, and so on. But small thing from me to you. Changing the design for the sake of changing the design because you don't like it anymore is not a good reason. And I know that uh, from experience. So don't do it. Changing the design because the functionality is better now with a new design. Yeah, do that. But just because you don't like it anymore, don't do it. You're gonna end up with a lot of issues. And yeah, that's basically what is happening here in my question type analytics, where this view, this card right here, uh, I changed the design because I didn't like the initial one, but it doesn't look good either. It's better, but it's not good. I haven't had the time to touch it, so yeah. Going back to some of the questions that we had last week or 2 weeks ago, I forgot. It's been a while. There was a question on how I use cursor to make these happen right now, because I'm thinking about how I could potentially go through scraping the entire analytics section. Like really going deep into removing the folders, removing all of the ties of the analytics and so on across the entire app for now. What should happen or what would happen for me is going to be go through this right about here. So I would go through um, Claude using Claude GitHub integration, and then through my specific branch that I currently have, which I don't think has been updated, so would need to update that, but whatever. I would go in there and say from this thing where we have the analytics section, I would select all of my folders related to analytics. I know for a fact that in the like content that is linked to the analytics, we have the profile view, so that's something that needs to be in there. And we also have things that are related to like CloudKit, that is for sure. And just by adding CloudKit by default, I'm getting like 95% of capacity from that model. So from there, I know that I can just go in there and select the ones that makes more sense, less sense than others, because, you know, not all of them make a lot of sense, but probably. And then from there, do an analysis through Claude to the entire code base that is selected, so that it makes sense to check if we can remove the analytics, because no one is using them just yet, and we have implemented something that is way too complex. Once that's done, I'm going through one of the, I don't know if I have one. I'm going through, I don't have that. Maybe, whatever. I would go through the creation of one of these recaps overall that we have, like shit like this, that really explain how things work, and then use that recap inside of Claude, inside of Cursor, directly here as an MD file somewhere. So if I go back here, getting something like these, right here, you're right, huh?
Jeroen Van Wissen just resubscribed for 15 months. Damn.
15 is a long time. Yeah, today is a resub day. You, Manbrave, Cat, today. And Cat is at 16. You are at 15. Congrats. Manbrave is like at 32. No, way too much. Thanks a lot for the resub. Welcome back. How's the day going? How was the weekend? How is everything? So getting things like this from Claude directly, this one is way too massive, to be honest. This one is like 1,000 lines, so that we know that this is not good for Claude. Like, this is way too much context. They need something like, at best, 200 lines, at worst, 500 lines is like 2 reads. That doesn't cost too much, but yeah. Yeah. That happens. Yeah, I'm gonna not say anything. So that's the base thing. You do that, and then through Claude, through Cursor, directly do things. Belvin, hi, welcome on in. How are you? Who are you? How did you find the stream? Thanks a lot for chatting. Appreciate it. That is an interesting dark mode. So yeah, that's the whole thing, right? I go through that, and then I'm prompting, just asking, looking at the recap, the thing that we have, how can we remove that? And one of the reasons why I'm doing this way and not doing everything inside of Cursor is because Cursor is way more expensive than Claude itself. So if I'm on here and I'm just running through Claude, having the questions, having the recaps, really explaining my vision of the thing that I want to have, and then getting like a full recap of something that makes sense, and yeah, that's the thing. They that's how it works. I would say something, Melvin, for you. I'm not a dev in the slightest. Not in the slightest. I am a designer first, and then I build an app through Cursor because I could. But right now, it's not. It's not good. Right now, it's really bad. It's yeah. I don't like it. I might keep that file specifically because it has the design that I worked on for a while, but that's the only one that makes sense. It's the heat map with the transition, the shit that I have right here, like that. Uh, Bitch, get out. That thing here to get like some sort of a transition with the blur and get the right data in the right space. Um, but yeah, I hate Bolt. I hate Bolt. So there's that. Bolt, Lovable, all of these are really, really, really limited. And even though they are supposed to be good for designers, and I'm guessing this is the reason um, why you're saying that to an extent, uh, it's it's not it's not going to be good for Swift UI. It's not going to be good for getting the ability to then navigate in between like cursor and Xcode and just check things in Xcode, having my preview running and so on. The Bolt is just like far away here. But yeah, I don't like that in the slightest. In the slightest. It's just too AIE. I know, I know. This is just like a fucking prompt, like chat, and that's it. And yes, it can do some things, but in terms of creating things, I do prefer Chef. Most of the time, Terracan. Oh, welcome back. Even though it's kind of the same thing, Chef for me is a bit better because it has that back end thing that works and that is instant. Which, you know, if you need something that needs to have like back end relationship and so on, you can just ask it here and then be done. And it usually works not one shot, but kind of one shot, but not one shot, but kind of, you know. Whereas Bolt is gonna be mostly front end, and then I need to do all the work on the fucking linking and shit, and that pisses me off. So, you know, that no good. Whereas, same thing, Cursor is the same thing, right? Cursor is not gonna link anything for me, backend wise, but because I'm not really using a backend, I'm good. And again, because it's native, it makes more sense for me to keep it here and not. Oh, that's weird. That's bad. Oh, I didn't know. So, yeah, that's the thing. Again, there is like plenty of these. Bolt is one, Lovable is another one, which like they look the same. This one is a better branding because, you know, uh, it makes sense. It's mostly for designers, so it works. Yeah, I don't know. There's something also with um, the ease of navigation. Like V0 is kind of the same thing, where once you prompt something, you kind of stuck in their environment. You have their thing, and that's it. Like you can't You can, but you can't. You can't really extract the code properly, or most of the API key and tokens and thing that you have is going to be held in a secure section in your preference in some sort. So I don't know. It's just kind of bad. Um, yeah, but that's not free. That's the thing. Like Superbase for your database and authentication as well, and like all the things. In the event that your product that you're building with these is successful, you're gonna have a bill at the end of the month that is gonna be sometimes bigger than the profit that you've made. Whereas right now, right here, I'm currently I'm using Cursor that I'm paying for, and everything that I'm using in terms of backend authentication, which I'm not having authentication, like whatever things that I want, storage, database, and so on, is iCloud. It's not the best, but because I'm using something that is iOS based, I'm getting the entirety of the CloudKit suite for free for my $100 a year of dev privileges that I have. Um, but all of these are free. And that's just because Apple is so big that they're like, yeah, cool, get that for free. Um, so yeah, yeah, but that's the same thing. If I'm providing the LLM API key on my own, I'm paying then for the API, which is more expensive at the end of the month than what I'm paying right now for Cursor. So I've been calculating things, and yeah, right now I'm in the free tier of Cursor, like because I run through my monthly allowance, these bitches, um, in a day. The 500 fast requests, I have my refill on the 21st, and on the 22nd at night, I got it through. And then right now, I'm running through the very basic slow request. But yeah, that Grosky's, I think you are too late for paying for Cursor. Um, like if you use tab completion, good. Don't choose anything else. Like I don't know if you've seen um, the latest things. I'm gonna use Theo's video because it's pretty good at showcasing things. Let me see if I can find it. Um, no. Yes. Uh, this one of like they said that they are forcing people to upgrade to $60 a month, which I they kind of did on me, but not really. Um, the like these ones where people have gone into the pro tier, which is like unlimited for $20 a month, and then basically it's unlimited because once you pass the 500, you get into usage base, and so you need to pay for that. And basically, some people, specifically like the last one uh, in that preview, is like not good. I forgot if it's this one or the last one. It doesn't really matter. Nonetheless, right now the pricings are really, really bad, and oh, that's bad. Um,
Delvin_33 is now following.
Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. And so, that's just a web. I forgot. But like most of the thing that I have here, right? This thing is resetting on the 19th. I have 500. I'm currently that's just that's just a week of me using cursor, right? And that tab was earlier today. So that because I have one of the older plans, I am not paying for these lines of code. I'm only paying for these, and then I'm just not in usage space. And because I paid for a year, I have a year of this usage that I can do until they will force me to upgrade into their now unlimited usage based uh, tier, in which case I would probably have to pay 2K a month for Cursor, which I'm not going to do. So that is the thing. If you had a plan from earlier, that would be, I would say that would be good. Um, but like that is the reason why they asked me to come to the Cursor event last week. Like, when they said I am one of their most active users, single user, yes, I trust that. 500,000 line of code done by the agent since April 15th. God damn. Anyways, so if you had like access to a previous plan and you had that plan, don't upgrade, don't change it, keep paying it, and don't get like skewed into buying another one. And if you are just using the tab, you should be fine. Like most of the thing that you have in the tab completion, I mean, the free would be like kind of okay, I guess. But yeah, I'm currently here, basically. Paying 37 a month because I paid for you. Did it also change that? So yeah, that don't don't get paying for this. Again, if you don't care, and if you're like me and you don't care and you just want to use the things, um, Tray is great. I I love Tray's design. I think it's much better than Cursor when it comes to the IDE itself. I'm obviously a designer and biased. I do think that this is looking much better than what Cursor has, and it's way cheaper for now. So same thing, right? For $3 for the first month, or 7.5 a month, you get 600 fast requests, which is like 100 more than Cursor, you know. But that's gonna be burned into like same thing, a day or some of some sort. It doesn't really matter. It's just like it's good. I like the interface much better. Uh, that's what I'm gonna say. I just don't like the builder mode thing. That just pisses me off. But you have access to all of the models, pro models. Cursor 4 is by default in there, or Cursor 4, Claude 4, Sonnet 4 is in there, and yeah, you know that's nice. Again, You need to not care because this is Tray. Tray is by. We don't have any information here. Tray is by ByteDance, so it's basically the parent company, the Chinese parent company of TikTok, that has created Tray to compete with Cursor, and they are competing really well because they have access to DeepSeek, kind of for free, but not really, but kind of, and yeah. Yeah, 99 will die. I don't think Trey's gonna die that fast, to be honest. Uh, Mainly because there is no VC behind it. Like it's just ByteDance is such a massive company, and they just have that much money to burn if they want to. That they have the ability to do that, and it's good. Again, if they didn't have that bitch ass thing on the side right there, the builder mode is really weird, but it kind of works. Um, I would use it more, but I like the interface way more. I like the way that they have set up things, and it's a very designer friendly environment. That's about it. But yeah, they also, if you have like knowledge and things, like they really have so much more. Uh, Not so much more knowledge, but so much more models faster. Like Grok 4 being like already here is kind of crazy to me. But yeah, like that's the thing. Tray is really good, really cheap. 7.5, 750 a month instead of Cursor being at like, to me, 37 a month is mind blowing. So yeah, it's really nice. I think as soon as you don't do builder, but you do like just chat instead, I think you kind of good. Like if it's just simple, you create a new agent, and yeah, that's good. I would say, um, that's that is indeed a minimum. Uh, if you don't want to, because you can, even though I don't like them because they are French, and obviously I'm biased. Mistral is like on device, and some people like it, some people don't like it. I don't like them because they are French. That's just personal bias, like that makes a lot of sense from my point of view. But if you just want to have the model on your machine and running on your machine with most of the things, that's a good option. The other one is Kimi, the new one. I mean, we talked about Kimi before. That's the wrong one. Um, but uh, Kimi has had an update now, and they were known for funnel reading. Like they have the ability to read funnels than them a bit better than the others. They have a bigger model or bigger context window than others, and right now they are kind of new and good. The K2 one it's pretty nice. Nonetheless, these ones are also potentially working on your machine and downloadable. However, however, K2 is 920 gigs of data to download. That's crazy. That that is crazy. I do like the way that they have kind of split the thing, and I do understand why it's so heavy and why they do it, obviously, but it's nice. I forgot the term. They have a very specific term, but they have like the whole model that is massive, and then they cluster based on your queries. So if you're asking something, it first is going to check which cluster is the most appropriate for what you're asking, and it's going to use that cluster of reasoning and model content and data and stuff specifically to answer your query, and then give you the answer. So it runs maybe on something that is like 16 gigs rather than having like the entire 1 terabyte model. But you still need to have the 1 terabyte model so that the initial model can pinpoint the right cluster. I would call that cluster. It's not a cluster, but it has a specific word. I forgot. Nonetheless, Kimi is good. That's the thing. But yeah, no, you can 100% get your models on device and be good. One of the reasons why Mistral is good, and I'm gonna say that is gonna sound weird, is because they are French. I know I that's annoying, but I get it. The amount of regulation that we have as French, thing that we need to have in order of getting privacy access, where the data is hosted and so on, is kind of crazy. Like it's EU based, but like also French are notorious for this. That is one of the reasons why Mistral is pretty good on device, because you can get access to something hosted for yourself, and then yeah, like just good, you know, because it is on device, and they have a can, so you know that that is a positive point. They have a cat. They have a cat. And I think I'm not sure now. Obviously, I feel like you have the ability. I mean, not you, but like you have the ability to get your models added, and you can have a custom model if you want. If you have a model that runs on your machine, you can probably do that. Like that with your API key, but I remember that they have talked about potentially having like local models as well on the app cursor as well. So you know, it's a thing. It's an option. It's probably going to be there. Going back to what I was about to say, and then I derail myself. Tray is going to be the least expensive for now. As Broski said earlier in the chat, things are going to be more and more expensive until someone is breaking the price again. So right now, the lowest, cheapest tier that we have for access to the most is Tray. Tray is $750. The others are all at like $20 a month. So it's half of the price, a bit less than a half, but you know, whatever. That makes sense. The price of Tray is probably going to go up in the future for the same reason, right? They need to, because they don't really have a choice, and prices on their end is also going higher, or yeah, going up, whatever. That means that if you basically lock yourself for a year with Tray, you get that price for a year, and then maybe the next year you need to be a higher tier, and that's a bit annoying, but I get it. The amount of speed that we have in the IDEs right now, and as you said, the amount of people that are gonna pop IDEs that just work the same way, that are just cheaper, and they are going to rack some money for a certain amount of time because they are providing something for cheap, and people are just jumping on it to get something for cheap, and then when the thing is gonna get less interesting, they just move on to something else that is cheaper and so on, right? The regular cycle. If you lock your pricing right now and then you move to something that is cheaper later, this one might behave and retain itself and be still available in like a year or two, but it might also die. And so investing your memories and tokens and things into one potential that is supposed to, based on your feeling on the things, survive, this might be a good idea, but I don't know. Like again, Cursor is really good right now. It's one of the most probable to survive with windsurf. Um, but again, windsurf is just ugh. I don't like this. I don't like their chain. I don't know why, but yeah, there's something about it that I don't like. So yeah, that's it. And yes, I have all of them. Obviously. Obviously. So as of right now, workflow is that. I just use Claude for first draft, ensuring that I have my PRD and my product requirement documents that is defined by myself, and Claude because I can't write for shit. That's the usual. Then I place that in there uh, as an MD file, like this one I deleted because, too long. And then from there, getting into editing stuff, making sure that everything works, and so on and so forth. Right now, the issue that I have is this bitch ass thing that is supposed to be not like this, but it is like this. These, like for example, that container is supposed to be a max width of infinity, and it just doesn't follow that max width of infinity, which is supposed to take the exact same size as the container. So, yeah, like that's the geometry reader, which is supposed to be that container at the top with my lines, and it just doesn't work. I mean, it does work, but it doesn't work the way that it's supposed to. So, that is where we stand. And I don't understand. Also, Delvin, you said that you're on Linux, I'm guessing, based on the fact that you're saying that it's not for supporting Linux. That is my deduction, designer deduction. Really bad. Which implies a lot of things to me. You're probably a back-end dev, because I don't know any front-end dev that would go through the effort of installing and running Linux as a daily, if that's your daily. Yeah. And my brain made a connection. Did you try Devin? I remember this from, I guess, 3 months ago now. This was like a bit of a fake thing, I think. Kind of fake, but not fake, but kind of fake. I had a lot of things to say about it when it came out. I didn't try it. However, that background thing is really cute. That is useless, but that's... Yeah, god damn it. Oh, oh, my god. Oh, this morning was shoulder, head shoulders, and that hurts. God damn. Yeah, I haven't tried it, and They did a better job than prior for the landing page. We kind of need to talk about that, by the way. But that other thing, not that, but that. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't tried it. It doesn't matter. But yeah, right now the issue is that bitch. So if you look closely around here, the the size of the padding on the right side is roughly 10, and the size of the padding on the left side is roughly 16. And then if I'm on a section that doesn't have any progress or learning or anything, which I don't know if I do have, but I do have right here, you can clearly see that this is not 16. This is probably 26-ish. The reason for that is my learning and mastered are right here. They are empty and they are like 0.000001. But the spacing in between them still exists. They take like basically 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 1 pixel, and they have their spacing at 4 in between each of them. So that is there in order for me to get the transition in between states and not have them come from nowhere. So if I had, like, for example, a section that had some elements that is learning, and then I'm moving to another section that has like mastered in there, it's growing from inside, from the center in between the two things, but it doesn't really distract or zoom in or fade in or whatever. It's better. That's the idea. And I can't really remove them, and I can't really move them either. So that whole system is flawed, and that's because I'm a dumbass. That's the reason. Because I don't know what I'm doing. So right now, the thing that I did last time was have like a -8 on this side for the mastered, or specifically, like most specifically, on the unseen, I had a -8 on the side. So it's just subtracting, because this is already a fucking subtraction thing. It's subtracting 8 points on one side or the other so that it appears aligned and centered, and it's pretty good. However, for some reason, when I'm doing that with -8 here, the system doesn't like it, and it throw me an error in purple, which I don't really know exactly what they mean, but they are like thread system top level error that is just like, you can't do that. That's not going to be accepted. And the reason for this is that this entire thing, if you have no unseen characters, so you are at 0, and you are multiplying that by the geometry size width, which is the entire thing, you're getting 0 -8, which is not feasible to have a -8 here. So, yeah, it's just it's a bit of a complex thing. I'm guessing if I wrapped this entire thing into parentheses, maybe that would work, as in I'm unseen width time geometry size -8 would probably work. But that's also a bit of math thing that I'm not willing to do on my own. And also it's a calculation that just debatable. Yes, it's debatable. You know, it's probably feasible, but it's also I don't know. I don't know. Nonetheless, that's the situation, and I'm trying to make it work, but it doesn't work. So yeah. I also made that smaller. Um, the lines, We had them at like 40 earlier last week, and then I saw like a lot of these. I don't think we have this though. It's been a while. It's been a while. Hey,
Canimatius just resubscribed for 35 months. GJ Twitch.
it is. It is today. Welcome back. Thanks a lot for this 35 months. God damn. God damn. That is too long. Appreciate it. Welcome back. No. I don't have the logs from prior to, so I don't know. No, not Friday. Unless it changed and it doesn't keep them, but yeah. Not Friday. Why did I do that? No. Neither of these. I'm trying to find something, and obviously when I'm trying to find something, I'm not gonna find anything. It's been a while. Yes, that was Joey. It's been way longer than this. We talked about it, to be honest. I mean, we talked about it, obviously, but like we talked about it on stream. I feel like it's roughly around there. As always, I remember the exact color and the vibe that it had, so if it hasn't been removed, I should be able to just glance over it and be like, oh yeah, that's the thing. Which, you know, that could have been it. That was some titties. Not supposed to see that. I mean, you are supposed to see that, but, you know, not here. Soon? Ha. Again, I'm looking for something. Therefore, I can't find it. This is a curse. Yeah. And that could work as well. It's kind of the same vibe, but it doesn't really matter. Bitch, where you at? No. Yes. No. No, still no. Well, I'm gonna give up in let's count. Could have been. And giving up. Yeah, it's a very specific app that is doing like a nice overall UI for, I think, sleep tracking or activity for the day, and they have like a very nice transition, a curved bar for the progress that they have on on a certain day, and it was nice, but obviously I'm looking for it, so I can't find it. But yeah, they have it in a slight like 8 point height, and I felt like it was a bit too slim, so I did it in like a massive view so that it doesn't look like I'm duplicating what they have done already. But it looked too big from my point of view, so I kind of removed that, and now I'm basically making it kind of the same as them, and I'm kind of sad about it, but I'm also not sad about it, you know, because it makes more sense. It looks better. So I might end up having it at 8 points, just because it works. I said I'm giving up. I just said I'm giving up. Stop scrolling. It could have been like right there. That's the reason why I'm still scrolling. I wish I knew that name. I would say that's the only thing that I'm like, I don't like my brain for that. I don't remember names most of the time. Um, and That's the sad part. I wish I just remembered the name. I'll click on that link though. Ah, that's it. Giving up. Uh, that is that took a while to load, but that yeah, I was expecting something in the center. Um, that is an image. That is interesting. Well, if you get rid of the fucking wasp, because bitch ass wasp in the center, um, the landing page is pretty simple and it kind of works. I think even without the fucking wasp, it would be good or good enough. Which let me see, can I do that? Can I just wasp the bitch? Where's the wasps? Wasps and bitch, like in the fucking center. Where you at? I can't get rid of it. Um, this is made with Dora. So Dora is one of these new tool that is supposed to be some sort of a also that's the link that was shared earlier. So it's right there. But it's one of these new tools that is supposed to not surpass or replace Framer and Webflow and things. But their point is Dora is a 3D first environment where you have like the same thing as Webflow and Framer, but they add something with like 3D things in your overall layout. Like that's their main point or selling point. It's kind of shit, but it's also not bad. But it's kind of shit at times. Like there is a lot of things in there that just don't work as you expect them to work if you have knowledge related to Webflow or Framer. If you don't, it's really good. That's the thing. Vale, welcome back. How are you? I'm tired and I've been fighting with data. That's what's not good. Other than that, I'm fine. Things are good. So yeah, so that's Dora. Dora is okay. Again, other than the fucking wasp in the center and the fact that the model has some issues like these, kind of not here but here for the distance around the wasp itself. That is kind of um, debatable, but the layout is really good. It's a very simple layout. It's a back and forth, side to side, so that makes a lot of sense. The fact that you have your model that is following you through where you want it to be, that's pretty nice. This is something that is um, like how can I say, um, something that I wanted to do using Spline in the past, and then I couldn't do that, so I gave up. But this is basically the thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to have uh, I wanted to have the the phone that is right here to follow me while I'm scrolling. So I'm here, it's fine, and I'm scrolling, and it's moving around here. It shows you the thing, and it moves on the other side, and it shows you the thing, and it moves on the other side, and shows you the thing, and so on. Right? That makes sense. But that is making a lot of sense. But that's the URL. URL. And so it would, like stop there and be good, and then you have the rest and whatever. So it would have been good, but then it didn't work as it intended it to work. And the thing that you we'll be able to see here is that this wasp is a loop of that 3D element, and it's just rotating on its own, but it's not animating the wasp itself. Like, it's the same loop wherever, it's just a different angle and a different position on the screen. So Dora is not necessarily good for interactive 3D assets compared to Spline, which is a bit better, but also like not necessarily the lightest of them all. So yeah. Other than that, Melvin, the layout is good, the content is pretty nice, and that is sadly the same fucking link 3 times. Yeah. Yeah, Spline is this. And Spline has just added a lot of new things in HANA, which is pretty nice as well. So, quick reminder because we need to do that. Spline is initially a 3D based design tool on your browser using 3JS and other 3D rendering things, which is really good so that you can embed it really, really quickly. It's pretty lightweight, not all the time, so it's pretty lightweight. And then they added the 2D design as an option, which is their new tool called HANA, which gives you the reactiveness of the 3D things, the interactivity of what they do in there. And it's pretty nice. Again, that's the example that I had for myself. The goal was on scroll, the phone would do things. And so, I rebuilt the entire first screen of the app quickly, and then I made sure that, if you wanted to click on things, it had some interactivities and things. Jeez, hi, welcome back. How are you? How's the day going? So that was the initial thing, but then I couldn't move it on the side or the other side or whatever. So it was a bit of a pain in the ass. But that's the thing that Spline can do, and it's pretty nice. Dora is mostly just the element, and then you see the element, and it's just there, and you can place it and move it, and that's it. But the interactivity of the 3 elements is a bit limited, and I don't even know if it is in there. As far as I remember, and I tested it a while ago, so I might be wrong. But as far as I remember, the 3D interactiveness was not there. It's just like you can add some 3D elements in your website, and you would be good. Compare that to Spline, which again, the thing that I just showcased is my own, but this one is something else, which just, it doesn't do much, but it's just there, and it can just follow through and be good with it. If we go back to the record player that we talked about last time, bitch. Let me see if record works. Yes. This one is crazy. Let's use this one because it's nice. If you have the time to go there and check this out, because that's good. This thing is giving you the ability to take the disc, place it on there. As soon as you release it, it plays music. It starts turning and it plays music. And it's blowing my eardrums because it's loud as fuck. But it plays music. And then I can just stop it out and put it back in and stop it out. That's crazy. That is made in Spline. So that basically Spline. But yeah, like that's a really good thing. I don't think I know this one. Oh yes, no, I know this one. I think I have it in the design resource somewhere. I forgot it. It is somewhere, but yes, it's not. Um, as far as I remember, it's not that good for non-JS frameworks. Um, but yes, designing element is going to be pretty useful. Or having like components really already done is really good. Really useful. That yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. So yeah, other than that thing, I don't know if it did it do that every time I click on something. That would be good. And these are broken. That's broken. Yeah, with that big ass wasp. Yeah, yeah. These are cute. These are cute. Um, Nonetheless, I don't know why I'm on this website right now, but I'm on this website right now. Um, yeah, like that's the. I think the initial wasp is fine in terms of layout for the design itself. In terms of what it is, I have doubts. Um, but you know, it's working. It's not necessarily broken here. Anyways, people are not really wasp friendly. Um, I should just refresh that. That probably help. Before I do anything, I sent this in Discord earlier today, where someone asked, how much should I charge for a website like this? And they say it's worth like 1,500 or 250, 2,500. And I took a screenshot and I posted it on here on Discord first because I have a suspicion that they might remove my reply because it just says somewhere around $30. Because if you know the things and you know where things are, this is not necessarily the same design styles and things, but that landing page right here is functional, working with similar interactions here and there, similar illustrations here and there, same type of pricing sections, and so on. And this is costing exactly $29. And that is a framer template. And so you end up with your website being live in 3 clicks for $30. So here, maybe they're not. Maybe they're not Froskies. That would sound like a regular product, right? They don't. So yeah, for here, for them to say this is gonna cost somewhere along the line of 1,500, or right, what they say, is pretty interesting. And so when I went to the like reply and comments on here, um, a lot of people were saying that they have paid like 5K for a homepage and that the thing was more custom than what is in there. But what I'm seeing here is just people that don't know exactly where things are like uh, coming from, like where templates are coming from, where template exists, and so on. And yeah, like again, knowing the fact that this is probably just a website design and not a website implementation, and I mean, I would potentially pay someone 1.2K if that person is doing the design and the implementation in Framer or in whatever things. Yeah, why not? But yeah, again, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. If people are willing to pay 5K for that website, that's good. That is great. If people are just looking for something that is quick, you know, um, you're not charging enough, man, brave. That's what we learn right here. Like you're not charging enough. If I were to get a client for a landing page, I said that before. The the price that I'm giving the client for a landing page or for whatever project, there is one of the first criteria that is a personal criteria, which is, does this thing piss me off? Or am I going to have fun building it? A landing page is really high on this thing is pissing me off. So I'm probably going to charge 5K, yes, for the design only. And then potentially throw in like a Framer thing and say, well, I've done that in Framer directly because it makes more sense. So you're getting like a live potential website from your 5Ks, and that makes sense. But yeah, um, yeah, it's right there. I don't know if I have my pricing. I know we touched it not so long ago. I should just fucking search as always. Yeah, I don't know if it's in this. I doubt it's in this one. I think it's in my original, but this one is the one that I shared, so I don't know if it's in there, but it's in there. It's supposed to be in there. Um, yeah, I think yeah, I rephrased it. So the client type is the piss me off tax. So if it's an individual, and I get it, you don't have a lot of money, but why not you have something that's going to be kind of low in my added tax. If it's a startup that they have a bit more money, so I can just charge them more. And if it's a corporation like Microsoft, it's going to piss me off to work for them, but I'm going to need to make a band out of it. So, damn, that's how it works. I don't know if I have it in the details. I don't think I saved it on this one, which is, again, this is the one that I'm sharing. So, yeah, uh, it's the client type. No, in this one, before I rephrased it, um, individual and startups are not necessarily the more fun to build, but they are the least funded one. So if I need the money, which is it happens, but if I need the money, I'm not gonna put the tax on top of that client because I know that they don't have the money. So if I'm telling them my initial budget is like, let's say 1K for a website. I don't know, that's not the case, but like that's easier to calculate. So we start at 1K, and then based on the complexity and the thing that you want, like it builds up from there. Is that okay with your budget? Let's say yes, we have a budget of like 1.5K. Cool. I'm gonna price them at like 1.2 ish, so that they feel like I'm not reaching to their budget. I'm like still good, but I'm giving them something. If I'm going into a startup, I'm gonna say, well, the price for a website of this range is probably gonna be starting at 3K, and then we build it upon that based on complexity and the pages and so on. Same thing. And same thing for corporations. It's going to be like it started 5 to 6K, and then it goes on and so on. This exact same business, but it's just like based on the individual that is contacting me, I'm having a different price ranges because there is a different impact, right? The individual might have, let's say, 2K as a budget, and the outcome that they have, maybe that doubles their income, their profit on the next year or something. That's not that's good enough for them to come back to me next year for something else. But like that's something. Startup doubling their profit on that year, they can afford to pay me a bit more. Corporation doubling their profit on that year, let's say they made, I don't know, 5 mil last year, and I'm doubling that with my landing page. I don't know, 1% maybe would be appropriate. So it depends on the client, and it depends on how much they could afford, but also how much they will gain. So there is something about the outcome or the expected ROI of the investment. I mean, the ROI is investment, but like the return on investment of paying me to get them somewhere, like that's the goal all the times. So in the rephrased thing is mostly this. However, if I would say there is probably something else in the other fees that would be in there. If the individual project is not something that I like, but I can still do it, I will price it higher. Like it's the new school calculator that we talked about and we used many times. That is here. It like that's the ID. So let's say you have like a web design thing and it's a private client and they don't have a lot of money. That's the main goal. Your hourly rate, let's say you are at like $50 an hour. I don't fucking know. And you're supposed to work, I don't know. Let's say you're working 30 hours on this one. Right? That's the thing, because it's gonna take a week ish to do the job, and that's gonna be the thing. If it's boring as fuck, and it's gonna be you're gonna hate yourself, you're gonna charge a specific amount of money. If your life is gonna change and you kind of think that it's a dream project, you can be at cost because you're just gonna have fun with the thing, and potentially, if your life might change out of this because this client doesn't really have much, but they would like have word of mouth and so on, it doesn't really matter. So the situation for me right here when deciding this, right? If it's a large corporation and I'm still at 50 an hour and it's a dream project and my life is going to change, that might be the same. But if it's a corp, I'm probably just gonna do that, you know, just because that makes more sense. But yeah, it it will. Again, my current range, the minimum, or I mean the other way around works better, but like uh, the highest paying client that I had is 120K, right? The lowest paying client that I had was free. So my current range is from 0 to 120K. 120K was a longer than a year project, and it, took a lot of time, but still, like that was basically the highest paying client. And the lowest being like most of you, which is right here, that are like getting free advice. And then just giving me a sub, which I appreciate, thank you. But like that's the range that I have. So from free to that much. And that 120K client was not necessarily the most fun to work with, and it wasn't necessarily the most interesting project at all. But the complexity and the length of the project made them say okay and sign the contract for 120K. And out of nowhere, the things became more enjoyable because I was getting paid enough to be like, well, okay, that's not the best, but I can eat for a bit, for a long bit, and I did. So that's the thing, right? The charging more can help you to just go through things, um, and yeah, yeah. If you have a day job, 100%. No, you can't. Yeah, if you have a day job and it's paying you and you don't need anything, then yes, 100% you do not need to get paid more for your personal projects unless why not? Unless you want to go on vacation at some point. Yeah, but yes, going back to what you said, there is no formula, there is no real formula. The formula that I have, which I showcase every time, is pretty simple. I have decreasing pricing, so it doesn't sound like something that is sane, but it works every time. You are paid hourly, and so your hourly is $800. That is massive. If someone is willing to pay you $800 for an hour, good for you. And then they see that if you wanted to, or if they wanted to get you for like a day, it's basically the same price as 2 hours. So maybe they book you for a day. And then they think a bit more and they're like, well, technically, the work that I'm asking them to do is going to take 2.5 days probably. Um, so 2.5 days is going to be more expensive than a week. So I might just book them for a week. And then if their work is just a week and they book you for a week and you do the thing in like 4 days, then you go. And that's the price they had to pay. But then if they think, well, maybe we can take a bit more time to, like, flesh out the project, the thinking, the entire thing. It could take a month. And for the price of basically 2 weeks, you get 4. So if you see the pattern, every time is the same thing. I have my pricing, my base pricing, that is doubling down to the next stage in order for me to get the biggest payout possible, and they get the best results because I have the most time to think. The reason why the 1 hour is so high is because that is not enough to do meaningful work, and it's distracting enough to be breaking out my day things, right? Like if I'm focused on something and oh fuck, I have that meeting with that client, I'm getting paid $800 for that hour. I'm fine with it. Like it's okay. It's bothering me for the before and the after maybe, and I'm like unfocused on something that I was supposed to work. But yeah, um, but yeah, um, that's the thing. Um, and also locking the client in a year is not necessarily a good idea, because going back to what you said after, if you lock them for a year and then you don't like working with them, what do you do? Do you refund them? Do you do other things? Like how does it work? Whereas here, because you are paying for time, basically, um, well, you know, which is that's the thing. The subscriptions thing. Sorry, the French takeover. The subscriptions thing is the locking them for a longer time, where it's basically you ensure that it's at least 2 months, because that end up being like higher than your regular months, but it's also like lower than things. So that's the thing. And then project base is basically based on the thing. So a project could take usually more than 4 months, and ideally 6 to 8 months. So that's why it's kind of higher in terms of pricing. But yeah, like that's it's if you get a subscription that is a monthly subscription and you get 10 months, it's this, but the project base you get a bit more, but then you're like basically a bit more invested and so on. That's the thing. The the pricing definition and uh, the regular formula that I have that I showcase every time is this. For designers, I don't know if it works for devs, but at least for designers that works. Years of experience plus 20 is your day rate, and years of experience plus 30 is your project rate. So for me, I have 18. So my day rate is 1,800, which is like just 800 on the sheet. It doesn't seem too high. And my project rate is at the minimum at 1,000 or 1,800 for project, full project, not just a small thing. And so with that, I had like the entire thing and so on. And monthly rates is usually like a day rate times 3 times 4. I know. So you basically have 3 days a month times 4. That's basically the idea. And the reason for that is because you have other clients, and therefore you don't necessarily work with or for one client entirely. That whole month you might be like a bit less and so on and ish. So yeah, so that's the thing that I did like last year to showcase, but kind of updated it here. But yeah, that's the pricing. But that annoying client, not annoying client, so on. Yes. Um, that's also a very good thing. The other thing that I said prior, and I'm happy to repeat myself on this one, I would encourage most of the clients that I have to get either subscription or project base, because that is not I mean, subscription is kind of, but like project base is better. Project base is the best option. That is, it seems that it's because I'm trying to get as much money as possible, but that's not really true. I mean, it is, but also, that is. The reason for that is if I'm paid hourly, I'm going to take 30 more hours or as much hours as I can. Like, I'm not done yet. We still need this to be done. And we're going to need to go overboard and so on. And I'm going to take as long as I need to or want to get paid as much as I need. So the example that we have heard and used many times is Chris Doe from the Future Academy designer in on YouTube. They had like a talk at some point where they said someone in the audience was saying they want like a logo, and Chris said, I can make you a logo in like 30 minutes. How much are you gonna pay for that? Like $300. And then they say uh, it's gonna take you 3 months. How much are you gonna be able to pay for that? Like your hourly rate, whatever. And like, cool. So if I take 6 months, you're gonna pay me more. And they were like, well, that's gonna be 30K. So maybe not. And that's basically the thing. If you go with project base, you pay for the experience and the things and the output. Whereas if I'm paid hourly, I'm going to take as long as I can to be basically paid more, based on the fact that, again, if my hourly is $100, or if I go back to my hourly is $1,000, and I can be like paid for 30 hours and I'm paid hourly, why not just take 40 hours to do the thing? Why not take 60 hours to do things? You just say, well, it's going to take 2 weeks and it's going to be boring as fuck, and I'm going to hate myself because I'm going to take so long to do this fucking thing. So, yeah, the project is going to be like very expensive. Um, so, like that's the kind of mentality that you need to have. Need to have is a big word. Uh, but yeah, when you're trying to price things out, these are things. I don't know how we ended up on this topic of pricing, other than this one. Now I remember. But yeah, like overall, if you have someone that is willing to pay that amount for just the design, it's probably because they don't know that this exists, which is fine, right? That works. But like whole landing pages exist, and this one is just $24. And you get the Figma file so you can do some edits, and you get the Framer website as well, so you can do some things in there. And right now I'm just looking at UI 8, which is, again, um, not necessarily good for these. And let's say I'm just looking for templates of a landing page on Framer directly. And let's say the price is going to be free. The landing page that they had, I'm not saying that, they are not good in terms of design. I'm just saying that they might exist. Like the one we just saw earlier, kind of the same, similar visuals that they had, and like that That is free. That whole thing, absolutely free. It's a free template. You can just use the fucking thing. And as long as you understand how to then edit it inside of a framework to not break things, ooh, like that. Sorry, that's that's fun. Uh, you know, like you get something for free. So yeah, the pricing is just kind of weird, anyways. It's an interesting transition right there. Interesting transition. Nonetheless, that's the thing. That is the overall output of that specific post. I'm like, I get it, get paid, that's good. Um, but also, that is also really true. Like pricing depends on you and the client. So, yeah, I do. We talk about it all the time. We talk about it all at the time because uh, they have the same system, and I took their system in a way. That system, but I don't like that system. That's my subscription system, which is right. That same system. Design Pickle is the same thing. Yes. The thing is, Design Pickle is just weird to me. Um, just because I don't. I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. There is something about it that is limited, I would say. Um, but yeah, their overall pricing and thing is working. It works, and they've all made a ton of money for sure. Um, this one is a base section, which is like 1600. The pro version is like 1700, so that you will go for pro for sure all the times. Like it just makes sense. And then this is really good. I love this because it just makes sense. Um, it is real, that's the thing. This is also really, really good. Like if you want your people to be like kind of invested as if they were like team members, um, like that's impressive. Like 12 hours a day is kind of crazy, so I would probably say like an 8 hour a day for some people. Then maybe the professional service can be removed. Like maybe you don't need the creative service, but you just need the professional services. It really depends. But yeah, that system is working, and we do like the system, and the companies like the system as well. The reason why I hate it personally for myself here is because I hate hate marketing myself and ensuring that I have like clients. So you need discoverability, and it's the same thing as we grow if you know that. Like that's the same overall content, overall ID. The thing is that we grow is mostly uh, branding and design, and they do other things, but they are mostly known for branding. And they have been extremely popular, and there is like a lot of people that have done the exact same concept as Design Joy, as Design Pickle, as We Grow, as myself, as other things. And it works because it's just easier for the companies. I know we talked about it before, not today, but like we probably had talked about it before together. But if I'm like gonna use that, if I'm a company and I have an employee, bitch, that I'm paying, let me do that instead. Bitch, that's not even a fucking auto layout frame. What the fuck? Come on. It's be good. All right. Let's say I'm having an employee and my employee is paid French 2K. Yeah, 2K is kind of low. It doesn't matter. 2K. So my employee is getting 2K after taxes and all that. My overhead cost is basically 2K. So I need, as the employer, as the company, I need to spend 4K to get my employee, because I need to spend 2K for taxes and 2K for my employee itself. And so that my employee is getting right here. That's the flow. This is going to the government directly. And I'm as the company, I'm still splitting out basically this. It's a bit less, it's like 1.6, but it's the same thing. So if, let's say I'm getting a salary of 4K, my company is spending basically 8K in total, with 4K going down to me and 4K going to the government in taxes and insurance and so on. So that's an employee. But with Design Pickle, with Design Joy, with myself and so on, the company is doing like getting a freelancer, asking an external person to do something for them. That removes that. So I'm getting, I mean, not me, but like the company is just saying, well, there's 4K going out to the freelancer. That's it. So if you have like spend 8K, 4 of these are going to the government, and 4 of these, and the rest is going to the employee. That is a bit of an easy choice for the company. Instead of spending 8K, you are spending 4. This is like very dumbified and very simplified, but that's basically what happens. So here, when I know that I can just like pay someone 4K a month and get my entire design team, like basically having like a freelancer that is ready and so on, you know, like you get one request at a time. Senior designer is on your side. You have an update that you receive every 2 days. So you start on Monday, you get an update on Tuesday or Wednesday in the morning. You can do as many revisions as we want, as long as you're paying me. I'm fine with it. And then once that's done, you can stop the subscription. And then if you need me again, you can re-enable the subscription, and then you continue with the request, and I do the request as fast as you request them. But as long as I'm getting paid, I'm fine. So that system, that whole thing, is technically good and technically working based on this, because there is nothing going to the insurance, the government things. That's why I'm simplifying a lot. I'm just getting straight to the freelancer, and I'm getting straight back the design that I'm asking for. And I don't need to give stuff at, the government. So other thing is, yes, there is a bit of a tax, but there is also things that for some companies, like my company, if I hire someone and I'm paying 4K, this is sunken cost. And so that means that I'm not paying taxes if I'm making 4K back. Like basically, if I have an expense of, no, not that, minus 4K, and an income of 4K, what I'm giving to the government, and I'm saying how much I did or made this month, I made plus 0. So I have no taxes to pay on this, because I have spent on the business 4K. That's all they know. And if for some reason I did that, well, I'm currently at minus 500. So minus 500 in the eyes of the government is probably 0, because, like I'm in a deficit. So as long as I have something that is, I'm paying for some stuff, and I'm getting basically the same amount of return, I'm roughly at 0, which is the reason why Twitch, basically the payment that I'm getting from Twitch, which is roughly like $100, $50 every 3 weeks, every month. Basically the fact that I bought this phone for 374 instead of $72, $400, and this phone for 1,500, and this mic and this computer and this camera and this thing is like stacked on top of each other to get my overall cost of the business and the business expenditure, as it's called. All of that needs to be refunded to myself before I track any more surplus in my business. So that's a good thing. And then if I have like another 120K client that comes in, then that's gonna top up this entire sunk that I already have, and then I'm gonna pay the taxes on probably 118K. That's how it works. There is a threshold. No, I'm not gonna lie. There is a threshold on this. You can't make. I forgot exactly how much it is. It changes from time to time. It has changed not so long ago, where basically if I make like more than I forgot. I don't want to say any numbers that would be wrong. Any more than a certain amount on the year, then this model of me being able to sunk costs and offset my profit based on the sunken cost is kind of out the window, because I'm making too much. But then again, I'm just taxed on my profit, so not on the revenue. So that's a good thing. But yeah, that's a lot of numbers on the screen for no fucking reason. But that's the That's the situation. So these models right here, this one, this one, this one, and this one, they work. Design Joy is debatable based on the content that he posts on Twitter. Like, that is the only reason why we are not sure about his credibility. Design Pickle has been pretty good at presenting what they have created and ensuring that we have relatively like um, trust them. Endless design is the same thing. Endless is the same value, I think. But yeah, also this is kind of new. I didn't know this was a thing. Um, yeah. Hmm. That article was a bit. Yeah. Eh. Yeah, there is. I didn't read the entire thing, but nonetheless, there is something about the unlimited that is kind of ruffling some feathers at times. At the end of the day, the thing with unlimited is that the goal, and specifically what Brett was saying from Design Joy, was overall the company, the system that they have is meant to do something along the lines of client A is requesting something. That something is taking you 20 minutes, an hour, maybe. And then you send that back to the client almost immediately when you're done. And the time it will take for that client to get back to you is enough time for you to tackle someone else's work. So you have client number two that is requesting something specific, and therefore you are moving on to ensuring that overall, right, you get the information of client A that has requested the things, you do the things, you have client B that is there, you send it, and then you do the things for client B, then you send it, and then you wait for each of these two to reply to you and give you some feedback on what you have sent. And in that time, you have client C that comes in and so on, and you continue on working on something else. So that's the unlimited thing that they talk about, and the way that they have like overall made their point in the unlimited, because it's by default based on the client that they have. Specifically, if you have big company, which is the usual type of client, the time they take to respond to you is sometimes days. So you do something in 20 minutes and they replies 3 days later of that's pretty good, but I would change this. That goes back in the task. You change the thing because for you it's like 5 minutes. You send it back and they reply to you 2 days later and so that you basically spent a week spending 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes on that client's work. That's one of the reason why it kind of works. And endless, um, overall, I think is the same concept to an extent, um, but you need to book a call and then that define the the pricing and so on, as far as I remember. Right? There's a lot of visuals though in there. Not bad, but you know. I don't I don't like this, personally speaking. I I don't like this, but I get it. But I don't like it. But I mean, again, you know, uh, I mean, you don't know. Um, I don't think I have. Is it this one? It is. Yeah, I kind of. He he asked for something. I replied, and then he said that I was a coward and blocked me. So I I mean, if you are that scared of me that you have to block me, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, like that's kind of weird. It's just it's kind of weird. Overall, there all has. I would say the only reason why it's working, it's the same thing that we kind of want to have, is um, most of the content that we are seeing from him is posted on the daily or posted very, very often. I mean, not on my feed anymore, which is really good, but it is the reason why he's been kind of popular. Most of these things have been posted almost every day, multiple times a day, reposted, interacted with, and basically ensured that there would be people seeing the things. And it's been the case for a long ass time. Like there has been, um, you know, um, that could be nice. uh, but they have been posting like a ton of content, and they are doing a ton of meme reactions and things for a lot of of content because it works for Twitter specifically, and so on. If you want to be successful on the internet and on social media specifically, you need to be successful on social media to make sure that people know that you exist. The thing that we have been talking about before is 15 to 30 posts per day on all the platforms or on one platform. If you want to be like successful and discovered, you need to hammer the platform. And it's basically what I'm trying to do without doing that daily, multiple times a day, but having posts on on LinkedIn on a regular basis so that people know that I exist. That's the main goal. That is the only use case for social media nowadays. Like there is nothing else. So your goal is to make sure that people are aware that you exist. And so you post so that they see you. Right now, these posts has had no fucking interaction, which is really sad. I need to find like another niche to work on that. Um, and the most the thing that people have said, and the reason why we said 15 to 30 posts a day, uh, is if I'm on my feed, yeah, you know, but like your employer doesn't know me yet. Like that's the thing. So if I'm on my feed, I'm seeing James right here. I don't see James post all the times. I know that he posts really, really often. Like there is a ton of things that are posted on a weekly basis, on a daily basis almost. Um, and most of that I'm not seeing because I don't really spend, personally, I don't really spend time on my home feed. So if I'm here and I'm scrolling through and I'm seeing things from someone that I have never seen before, or someone that is from my circle once a week, twice a week, it doesn't really bother me. If that person is spamming 16 times a day, the likelihood of me seeing these 16 posts on that specific day is really low. Like I'm probably not gonna see that. I know that some people in this feed right now are probably posting like multiple times a day or multiple times a week, and I don't know. That's the first time I'm seeing their post, unless it's like a fucking ad, which this ad I'm seeing all day. But like that's the thing. So that's the thinking behind it. Um, and so on here on Twitter or on Threads or on whatever, if you're posting like that much on your feed, you end up with being present or being presented on a lot of people's feed, and therefore you are bidding on being discovered by new people really more easily. Yeah, that's the word. And so, you know, that's that would be that's a good thing. So if Daryl is doing the same thing, right, posting every day or has been doing that, maybe now it's not there because it doesn't need to. There is or there has been like a lot of people like Jill, same thing, that have been posting a ton at some point and then kind of stopped, but like posting a ton of their work and gained a ton of followers in no time. Basically, with their first post, if I remember correctly, they shared something like, I think it was this one. I think they shared this or this first, and then they kind of blew up in a way because uh, no one was doing that type of design at that time specifically. So, like that happens. But yeah, yeah, I think it was this one. It's, yeah. So that's the thing. And so if you going back to the initial question of, do you think that these models, these design people and other things are working? Yes. And if you want to be successful in these versions of things, you need to post your designs everywhere, multiple times a day, as much as you can, as much as you have, in order to be discovered, in order to then be able to potentially get like the hang of a client somewhere that sees you on social, or someone in that company sees you on social and say that guy, girl, person is doing great work. Maybe we are needing a new designer in the team. I'm gonna see with my manager if we can take a look at their profile, if we have budget for that person, and so on. And that could be either hiring internally, or that could be simply hiring you as a freelancer, and therefore you go with your Design Joy system subscription model that kind of works specifically for companies. And yeah, like that's one of the things that I kind of said at one point. I don't know if you remember, but we had, when I was doing my landing page, I think it was like 2 years ago. Um, that is interesting. I had a thing where I basically said, if my landing page header was saying fire your designer, hire a freelancer instead, that could be interesting as well. So, yeah. Have a good rest of your evening, Melvin. Thanks a lot for being here. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot for the follow. Appreciate it as well. And we'll see you soon. If you want to come back on the day that I'm streaming, that is the timeline. Official timeline. I will be back on Wednesday. Wednesday is the day. But yes, that's the thing, right? If someone is seeing your content somewhere, wherever, right, and that someone has power, if that someone has uh, discussion power with the manager that has a hearing power, or if that person has just good taste and likes your content, then you can hope that maybe with a good discussion with them and the person that is like in charge of the budgets, you would potentially get hired as a freelancer or an employee because you're posting so much. And therefore, if you are in a like uh, right subscription model, you are getting your subscription as a freelancer. And I mean, they subscribe to you as a freelancer and then they have access to you. And so if you present yourself as an option to be available 24/7, not really, but like, you know, every day, seven days a week or 5 days a week or whatever, and available on demand as a designer on demand, which is basically the case, then you end up with something that is pretty unique, stands out. They don't have to pay charges, they don't have to pay for insurance, they don't have to pay for anything. And obviously, it's appealing for companies, but like that's the thing, that's the situation. But yeah, other than that, Design Pickle is really good. The way that they are presenting things is kind of the best option, right? Where you are defining that you want them to be in the team for like 4 hours a day, and you kind of want to have some professional service as well. So you add that, and you want to pay annually so that you don't have to pay too much. So you won't pay for a year, and you basically save 10K apparently. Um, and that's going to be your full like pricing overall for the entire thing, because you are basically saying that for 12 months in a row you are getting that um, paid. And again, like this with this system, if even if I say that I'm just paying monthly and I don't really know how long it's going to take for the project to be done, and I let's say I'm paying like a designer internally to work with me, and their pay is, I don't know, I'm paying them plus taxes and shit. I'm paying them 3K or 4K a month. Like that's the level that I'm willing to pay them, so that they are getting like a good enough salary, like a 2K a month roughly. For friends, that's pretty good. Um, and I'm not necessarily getting anything out of this, but it's fine. If I have two clients, I can pay myself the same salary, basically. If I have three clients, I can increase their salary or hire a secondary person, or technically a third one. If I have four clients, I cannot work and only like focus my energy on other things, as in the business related stuff. And I have my two employees to work on these. So basically, we are making a total of like with four clients, like 5K a month. That's 5K. Um, we're making 20K a month. And so with taxes and all of that, at the end of the month, I'm getting probably like 15K. I'm paying my designers 4K each. So that means that in total, I'm leaving in profit. I have 7K that stay in the company. That 7K could go into hiring like a third designer to ensure that I have like, more client potential, or it just getting inside of that to pay my designers more. That's also appreciated. Or just like have that in the treasury so that if at one point one of the clients say, well, we're good for this month, we're going to come back next month probably, but like this month is going to be a bit without us, then I have like 4K less, and that the treasury can pay my designers for that time. That's and that's basically how it works. It's pretty simple. At the end of the day, it goes really really fast. and it just works. So it's a simple system, and it it does work. It's just a bit more. Goddamn, congrats! It's just a bit more um, annoying because you need to be as present on social, as uh, reactive and interactive with other people, and discoverable and sharing your content, and it's just a lot. It's just a lot. Goddamn, congrats. I don't think I'm gonna make it either. Yeah, that's not. Sorry. You won for a sec. I think that's the first time I'm lending. I think it's a lending. Yeah, it's a lending party. Yeah, lending party works, and it is indeed a first. It is indeed a first. But yeah, Kate, that's the. I would say that's the thing. There is like a ton of designer agency, solo devs, solo designer that are working in the same way, and it works. The thing is, you just need to be able to find clients that are willing to get in there. Can hi, walk on in. Let's see if you uh, reach the drop zone as well, like everyone today on this drop. I doubt it. I feel like you're gonna miss it by a hair. No, no, you're gonna beat the hair. God damn it, bitch. Yeah, I think if anyone wants to drop, now is the time. If you just want to win the thing, yeah, this landing pad is the landing pad. That that is where things are. So just attempt. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Sorry, Kate. Sorry. It was a magical landing pad until uh yeah, yeah, that I'm sorry. Uh I thought I thought it would. I thought it would, but no. God damn. Yeah, it's crazy that if the four of us landed on the same fucking pad. That is impressive. I hope someone clipped that. I doubt it, but yeah, that's a very impressive thing for once. Yeah, I might clip it. I don't know. I might. Getting clients that are willing to work with the system is simple-ish. Getting client that you are like feeling comfortable working with that system with is a bit of a trust thing. If I remember, uh, like the far enough time in the past, Design Joy was having no meeting. Like right now, they have re-enabled their discovery meeting, which is kind of weird, but that happens. But basically, what they said was their goal was to have as little meeting as possible. And so, if you get in the landing page or on their landing page, you see everything they done, you see everything they do, you see how it's done and how it works, and you should be able to get or to take a decision with the landing page. Nothing else. No interactions, nothing. And so they would have clients sign up directly from the website without ever having um, like a call with Brett directly. So that was what he said at some point. Um, and so there was no interactions, and that was the thing he did to save time and save his time to not like have to interact with clients and so on. That's the thing that also is an option, could be an option, and so on. But like it's a thing. It's a thing. That yeah. That is a thing. Absolutely. But yeah, like finding clients is the thing that I hate the most. It happens. I need to post more of the design that I've made and the thing that I have to just, showcase stuff and potentially get discovered and have like client interactions and so on. But I hate doing it. That's why I'm doing it on stream, because it's way better for me to just do that when I'm here and talk about stuff really quickly, or not really quickly, or in depth, or if someone is needing some help. Basically, just exposing how I work and how much I say fuck in a day. And then, that helps. That works. Like a lot of people like that. Makes sense. This is flowy like flowy. Okay? That is flowy flowy. Anyways, that's the thing. That is the thing. Nonetheless, I is tired, as always, and someone that we haven't rated in a long time is now live. So that will happen. Which is good. Which is good. I'm sending you to camp because it's been a while. And as always, if you want to watch the VOD to do some clipping, you can do that. You can go on YouTube. And if you have a question and I'm not live, which happens, you can ask it on the Discord. As always, I shall be back on Wednesday. That's the day. And yeah, as always, if you want to learn Japanese, use that because it's pretty nice. And if you want to give me some money, you can sub here, but that's not necessary. I would rather you buy
Mom.
something like a UI kit because it's much better. You get something in return. We like it, and so on. The usual. The usual. Froskies, congrats. You win above stream limit. That is impressive. Impressive. Anyways, as always, eat something, drink something, go pee, be kind to each other. The usual. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.